Good morning, second graders. Today we are talking about measuring using different types of units. Please listen to your video and we will go from there.
You can use different units to measure objects. Which would you use more of to measure the length of the bookcase, feet or yards? First, measure the bookcase with feet. What is the length of the bookcase in feet?
Okay, if we're measuring in feet, we know that one ruler is 1 foot. So 1, 2, 3 rulers would be 3 feet. Oops.
Let's count the feet. 1, 2, 3. The bookcase is about 3 feet long. Now measure the bookcase with yards. What is the length of the bookcase in yards?
Okay, we can see that we're only using 1 yardstick. That means that our bookcase is 1 yard long.
The bookcase is about 1 yard long. You can use different units to measure. Both units measure the same length. The bookcase is about 3 feet long. The bookcase is about 1 yard long. Which unit did you use more of to measure the bookcase?
Select your answer.
Okay, the thing to remember here, second grade, is that the smaller the unit, the more you need. So if you notice, we used 1, 2, 3 feet, but we only used 1 yard. That's because feet are smaller than yards, so we needed more.
You used more feet because feet are smaller than yards. You have learned to measure length using different units.
Okay, let's take another look.
What's cool about measurements is that you can use different units to measure the same object. It's true, like a TV stand. You could measure it in inches. All right, let's see. This stand is about 36 inches. You could measure in feet. 36 inches is the same as 3 feet. And you can even measure in yards. 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. Got it? All right. Oh, and TV stands are usually bigger than 1 ruler. So whenever you're trying to measure larger objects using a ruler, you always have to put the next ruler where the last one ends, with no gaps or overlaps in between. When measuring, if you use a smaller unit, you need to use more units. In our TV stand example, inches are smaller than feet. And 36 is more than 3. And feet are smaller than yards. We used more feet than yards. So whatever units you use to measure, as long as you measure in the right way, you'll always get the right number.
Okay, second grade, please meet me in your math book on page 712, where we can talk about what we are looking at today. Okay, here on page 712, if we read through the green box area quickly, it says you can use different units to measure objects. Which would you use more of to measure the length of a bookcase, feet or yards? Remember, the smaller the unit, the more you need. So if we measure the bookcase in feet, it is about 1, 2, 3 feet long. If we measure the bookcase in yards, it is about 1 yard long. So we used more feet than yards because a foot is a smaller unit than a yard. The smaller the unit, the more you need. So if we were to do something like measuring our whiteboard, I could get out my ruler, I would measure across. I'm going to do this example for you so that you are not feeling like you need to get out of your chair. It is 1, 2, 3, about 4 feet across. Well, if it's about 4 feet, we know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard, and it's going to be less than halfway, so we'll say about 1 yard. Did we use more feet or more yards? Well, feet are a smaller unit, and 4 is greater than 1, so we used more feet. Okay? You can use your ruler and measure your chair. Remember, we're going to go in inches first and then in feet. So if you need more than one ruler, you would say 12 plus 12, however many you need to figure out the inches, okay? Remember, inches are smaller than feet, so you're probably going to use more inches. When you are on page 713, I want you to do 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 6 and 7, you are making a picture in your mind. Read carefully. This one says, about how long is a key? 2 inches, 2 feet, 2 yards. Which tool would you use to measure the length of a key? Well, would you use a ruler or would you use a yardstick? So those are the choices you're choosing between, ruler or a yardstick. Which is going to be the best tool to measure the length of a key? And for your thinking, we're thinking of a key about this size, okay? About how long is a suitcase? 2 inches, 2 feet, 2 yards. Would you use a ruler or a yardstick? And then just jumping back really quickly, you can measure a book, you can measure your desk, and you can measure a window, but please be very careful about that. And maybe use the windows back by the book nook so you're not hurting anyone. Be thoughtful and careful, and if that gets too rowdy or too loud with people out of their seats, then we'll just kind of change our plan. When you are ready, you can pause your video to do your work and then come back and join me while I talk about our quick check. Our quick check today is all about measuring length using different units. Number one says, which unit would you need fewer of to measure a tree? All the same, fewer feet, fewer inches, fewer yards. Remember, the smaller the unit, the more you need, which means the bigger the unit, the less you need. So I would suggest you think about which of these is the biggest unit and make that your choice. Number 2, which is the best estimate for the length of a guitar? Select 2 estimates using different units. That means that 2 of these are going to be equal in length. So it's your job to figure out which 2 are equal to each other. 10 inches, 36 inches, 8 feet, 1 yard. I'll give you a hint. There is a helpful chart on the whiteboard that can give you this information. You're looking for 2 of these measurements that are equal to one another. For number 3, Katie wants to measure the length from the pitcher's mound to home plate on a softball field. Should she use inches or feet to measure it? She should use, which one is the largest choice? Going that long distance, we want to use the biggest unit available to us. So which one is larger here? Since the number of blank is less than the number of blank. Remember, the bigger the unit, the less you need. Okay, take your time and think carefully on that one. Number 4, which unit would you use more of to measure the length of the whiteboard? The smaller the unit, the more you need. So which of these is the smallest? That's the one we would need the most of. And finally, number 5, estimate the length of the hammer using different units. The hammer is about 11 feet or 11 inches. Which one makes the most sense? The hammer is about 1 foot or 1 inch. Which makes the most sense? You need blank inches than feet to measure the hammer? Do you need more inches than feet or fewer inches than feet? You can do this, guys. Take your time, think carefully, read carefully, and do your best. See ya.